On this edition of the Just in Time podcast with Justin Kutcher.
I see Darren. I'm like, okay, I got to step on the plate. I grabbed him by the jersey. I kicked the bat out of the way. And they're like screaming, like, get him out of the way. Get him out of the way. Like I grabbed him, kicked the bat, stepped on home, picked him up because he was the same age as my son back at that time. And then I started realizing that. And I had the privilege of playing with Barry Bonds for 9 years. And so he started telling me some things about how to like move up on the plate, get up on the plate. And now maybe they think you're looking in and you might get that pitch away. And by far was the smartest guy, smartest hitter I ever played with. Sean Casey was like next level. He's like, you look great, man. You look great in uniform. You look great at the plate. Man, I'm trying to like feel it like you. And then like the ball would hit Sean be off. And like Sean Casey, hands down, was the best guy at first base. And so every time I'd come up and Clemens was pitching, he would just look up at me and shake his head. He's like, you got no chance. and he would just throw me like first pitch changeup. And then he'd throw me a slider. Back in the day, like Roger would throw it under your chin and throw it down and away. So yeah, Clemens by far.
The greatest sports moments happen in seconds, but the stories behind them are timeless. Dive into the mind of the icons who live those moments. No filters, just authentic conversations about the moments that define careers. I'm Justin Kutcher, and this is the Just in Time podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Just in Time podcast with Justin Kutcher, joined now by a guy who's won 6 Gold Gloves as a first baseman in the big leagues. He played for the Yankees, the Angels, the Giants. We'll kind of say the Red Sox, although being a Yankee fan, that hurts to say. But he's just a great guy, friend of mine, JT Snow. JT, thank you so much for joining me here. This is awesome.
Oh, you're welcome. Yeah, when you asked me to come on, I'm like, no brainer. I know we both have a love for golf. I see your hoodie. I have a love for the NFL with the Rams, as you can see in my shirt. But yeah, this is awesome. Thanks for having me on.
Well, it's funny that you say the love for the Rams. I'm guessing this goes back to your dad, Jack Snow, who was a wide receiver with the Rams. Is that correct?
Yes. 64 to 75, 11 years, the Rams, all pro 1 year. I grew up in Southern California. We grew up at Seal Beach. They used to practice in Long Beach at Blair Field, which is an old baseball field. So when I was a kid, I grew up going to practices and hanging out with the players. And that's just the life I knew from the time my dad retired when I was like 8 years old. So I remember probably like the last 3 or 4 years. It was good. It was a good childhood and a good life.
It's funny because I had Matt Hasselbeck on this podcast way back when, and I asked him, I'm like, did you ever realize, how lucky you were that, your dad was in the NFL and professional athlete? And he's like, honestly, I didn't. Like all the guys on my street, their dads were professional athletes. So we just thought it was normal.
Yeah.
Like, was that it for you? You just thought, oh yeah, I'm going to go to practice. That's what dad does.
Yeah, it was kind of special, but my dad always kept us grounded. Like I knew that these were the guys that he played with and practiced with. And, as a kid on Sundays, I'm going to the LA Coliseum for home games to watch my dad. Couldn't get on the field beforehand. After the game, there's strict rules back then, but sat in the stands with my mom. And then, after the games, somebody would come get me and I would go down in the locker room with the Rams players. And it was super cool because my dad always took me into the visiting locker room because at the Coliseum, the locker rooms, as most stadiums were back then, right across from each other. So he would take me into the other locker room and I got to meet Roger Staubach, Terry Bradshaw, OJ Simpson, all these guys that they would give me their wristbands and give me their hat, and so I was a little spoiled as a kid growing up. And then I would go to school on Monday and like, yeah, I met Terry Bradshaw. I met Roger Staubach. And kids were like, but I think my dad kept it pretty grounded as far as like, it's not the norm. And, we grew up in a normal neighborhood in Southern California in Orange County. Kids were great. They didn't ask for a lot. Like, one night we had the whole Fearsome Foursome defensive line at my house for dinner. Rosie Greer, Lamar Lundy, Deacon Jones, Merlin Olsen. My mom cooked like a spaghetti dinner, meatballs, sausage. And I had it not till I grew up later, like maybe in high school or college. I'm like, wow, we had the whole Fearsome Foursome at my dining room table. Kids are ringing the doorbell at my house, and my dad's like, "You got to tell them, not now, no autographs, go away." So, yeah, it's a pretty cool environment to grow up in.
I would say so. So, okay, I have to ask a couple of things. I remember my brother, his senior year in high school, he was on the football team, and we had a team dinner at the house. And my mom was freaking out about how much food does
Right.
she have to get to feed an entire high school football team. How much pasta did your
Oh,
mom have to make to feed that group?
I remember cooking all day, two pots of pasta, the noodles, a ton of like meatballs and spaghetti. She made a salad, and yeah, it was pretty cool. Like I said earlier, I didn't realize at the time, like
Hmm.
these guys just hanging out. But I got to know all those guys. I got to know my dad would take me to practice. I would hang out in the locker room. And these guys were these behemoth men, right? Just huge. And I'm like this little kid, but it's a pretty cool environment to grow up in. And then later, when I played with the Giants and I had my son Shane, he got to come to the clubhouse with me, and he's rubbing elbows with Barry Bonds and Kurt Reeder and Russ Ortiz and Rich Aureli, all these guys. And it's that you kind of get jaded, but you got to keep them in perspective and just know that this is not the average childhood growing up.
So obviously your dad is your favorite player, but like you said, he brought you to the visiting locker rooms, and a Terry Bradshaw might give you his wristband or somebody else. Did that alter who you rooted for? Like, was there someone else on a visiting team that was your favorite player?
That's a great that's a great question because like I knew all the Rams players and like, oh yeah, the Rams were playing whoever, that day, the Pittsburgh Steelers that Sunday. And like I kind of rooted and I told my dad, like, I want you to win, but you don't understand the ramifications of him winning and go to the playoffs. But it's like the the Vikings, like Fran Tarkington, like I'm like, I kind of like the other players on the other team because I knew all the Rams players. So it was like, oh, and I think my dad played in 3 or 4 NFC championship games and lost them all to the Cowboys or to the Vikings. Fran Tarkington or Rob Staubach never made it to the Super Bowl. Uh, but yeah, you're like I like the guys on the other team. It's kind of funny, like, oh, this guy's great. This guy's great. My dad's like, yeah, yeah, yeah. All right. So, because I knew all the Rams players, and they were
Of
just like
course.
they were like friends of mine.
Yeah. You just walking by, hey, what's up, man? Yeah, good to see you. Oh my
Right.
God, that's Roger Staubach.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, in high school, if I read this correctly, your high school teammate was Robb Nen.
Yes.
Dude, did you guys lose a game?
We so my high school team, we had 5 guys go on to play, either get drafted or play college ball. We finished third in our league. Robb Nen was the starting pitcher. Our coach was the health teacher that taught health ed, and then literally come out and roll the balls out, and we ran our own practice. And so we had Robb Nen that got drafted. I went to Arizona. We had a short, center fielder that went to UCLA, a right fielder Mike Kelly that went to ASU, ended up playing for the Braves in the big leagues. We had a pitcher that went to Pepperdine. Yeah, we were kind of like misfits. Like we could all play, but we could not get it all together. We came in third in our league in high school, and then scouts and people like, how are you guys finishing so bad with all this talent? So it
You're
was,
like, because the health teacher sucks.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, the health teacher is like teaching health too much. And I had the pleasure of playing with Rob with the Giants. He was our
Right.
closer, and one of my best friends to this day. And yeah, we hit it off, and he had a great career. But yeah, it's funny looking back. Like we were all young and dumb, and just playing baseball, and it was pretty amazing that we had all those players. And I don't even think we made the playoffs in high school that year.
Like, I can't even imagine how many other players in your league were like, yeah, all those guys, we beat them. Yeah, just telling stories for the rest of their lives because they
Yeah,
beat you guys.
yeah, it's true. I just ran into a guy a couple weeks ago that went to Esperanza High School in Southern California, which is a big rival of Los Alamitos, and he's like, "Yeah, we played you in high school. We beat you." I'm like, I'm not surprised, but
Yeah.
we all went and did good things, and it was fun. And I love seeing those guys nowadays. And we're always like, how the hell did we finish third in our league? We had so much talent, but maybe it's the coaching.
Maybe it is. So, okay, so you have to tell me this then. You go to the University of Arizona, and I know that your teammates at U of A, Trevor Hoffman, Scott Erickson, and I want to say Kenny Lofton as well.
Yep. Yep.
How did you guys do there?
So 1989, we finished the year ranked #1 in the country. We hosted a regional. Back then, the regionals were a little different. There was only 48 teams. There was 8 sites with 6 teams. You played double elimination. They didn't have the super regionals like they do nowadays. So we were the 1 seed, and Long Beach State was the 2 seed. And if we both, I think Hawaii and Loyola Marymount, and we had like Eastern Kentucky and somebody else on the West Coast in our. So if we both win our first 2 games, we're going to hook up with Long Beach State. They had a #1 draft pick, a guy by the name of Kyle Abbott, was a left-hand pitcher, went to the Phillies. We had Scott Erickson. He was our big stud. But our coach, Jerry Kindle, went by the book. And so he pitched our #1 starter, our #2 starter. And then in game 3, our 3 starter went. Whereas Long Beach State's coach, Dave Snow, who's no relation to me, he went 3-2-1. So now we hook up in the 3rd game in college, and in college baseball, like a #1 starter. And so he beat us. Kyle Abbott beat us. We came through the losers bracket, and then we faced him the last day. We had to beat him twice. They beat us the first day. He kept Abbott in the bullpen, and he came out like in the 3rd or 4th inning and threw like 6 more innings. So yeah, we had a great team. Trevor Hoffman was our shortstop. He's now the 2nd all-time saves leader. Erickson had a great career. Kenny Lofton had a great career. I played in the big leagues. Kevin Long was our center fielder. He's now the hitting coach for the Phillies. He's had a great coaching career. Damon Mayshore, who's played in the big leagues. Alan Zinter, all these guys. We had a good squad, and it's fun every time you see them at reunions and stuff. We all just laugh and talk because there's nothing like college teammates or roommates, because we were all young and dumb, and everyone gives it to everybody. And but that got me started onto my professional career, because I came from a good program and understood how to play the game and what it took to get to the next level.
Okay, before we go to that next level, though, Kenny Lofton, wasn't he also playing basketball?
He was. So he was on the 1988 championship or Final Four team at Arizona. He played with Steve Kerr.
Yep.
And Sean Elliott.
Yep.
Tom Tolbert, Anthony Cook. And so Kenny came out for the baseball team after the basketball season because he played baseball in high school, and he went up to Coach Kindle and said, "I'd like to play baseball," maybe because he knew he wasn't going to go in the NBA. So he came out, and I was actually out there the first day that Kenny came out there, and our hitting coach put him through some drills in the cage. And he was raw. Like, he was popping balls up, swinging off the tee, missing. Then he hit him some fly balls in center field, but he could go track it and he could catch. And I always remember our coach, Jerry Stitt, our hitting coach. He told Kenny, he goes, "Watch this last one, move in. I'm going to hit it over his head." Hit it over his head. And Kenny made like a Willie Mays basket catch. And so then he started playing in games during the week, because at Arizona, there's no JV, but we had it's called a varsity reserve. And they would play other junior colleges during the week, like Yuma, Yavapai, Central Arizona, Scottsdale. And then Kenny just started taking off. And then the starters, we'd practice for like an hour, hour and a half. And then the reserves would play. There was 30 to 40 scouts at the reserve game watching Kenny Lofton play, because he would hit like a 2-hopper to short and beat it out. He would hit a ball in the gap and have a stand-up triple. And so then we're like, wow, we don't even have these many scouts at our games, varsity team. So Yeah, and Kenny's a great guy. I love Kenny. I see him every now and then at golf tournaments, and just a great story and a great career.
And then, okay, so you and your high school teammate, Robb Nen, and then your college teammate, Kenny Lofton, were all on that '02 World Series Giants team, right?
Yes.
So what's that like when, I mean, okay, so you go back with Rob to high school, you're now playing in the World Series. You go back to Kenny in college, and you're playing in the World Series together.
Yeah, it was fun. Like 02 was a great year, a great run. And credit to Brian Sabian, our GM with the Giants. He made the trade for Kenny, brought him in, and we were kind of like in the mix, like for the wild card that year. We're like playing hard. We're trying to get there. He brings in Kenny, and then he just injected like energy and a life into us as a leadoff hitter. And we're like, this guy's awesome. And I knew Kenny from, Arizona, like you said, and Rob from high school. Yeah, we just gelled. We just started playing, started winning games. Rob came to us in '98. I think the Marlins did like a fire sale. So it was super cool to see Rob come over to the Giants. Um, he's a great closer. I mean, he's top 20 all time. But we had a fun run that year in '02 and end up playing the Angels. And so it's funny because Rob and I grew up in Orange County, Southern
Right.
California. So we wanted to beat them so bad. And we were up in the sixth game in seventh inning, didn't get it done. And then the seventh game, John Lackey, who's a rookie, beat Livan Hernandez, and the Angels won it. So yeah, I think about that World Series like every day because we could have been the first team in San Francisco to win a World Series
So, okay, so you really do think about that a lot.
all the time. I have a ring from the 2010 team because I was working for the Giants as a coach, but I was out there in the seventh inning and I'm like, we're up 4-1. I'm like, we got this. We're gonna, and we all knew it. We all knew it in the dugout. We're like, we just got to play the game. Scott Spezio, for people out there, go back and YouTube it, look at it. Scott Spezio, um, Rodriguez threw him like 11 fastballs in a row. He ends up hitting a 3-run homer, tying it. And then Erstad hits a home run the next inning. And we're like, oh no. But after game 6, I was never a big guy to be out in the field and watch the other team celebrate. So I was up in the clubhouse with Barry. The clubhouse kids in Anaheim had moved all the furniture out of the way. They had the tarps over our lockers, and we walked up there, and they were like scrambling to get it back and roll the tarp up. And then Barry and I were like in the shower, and we were the only two in the shower. And I'm like, "What just happened?" He's like, "I don't know, but we got him tomorrow." And I'm like, "Yeah, we got him tomorrow." And then we didn't win. We as players wanted Kurt Reeder to start that game 7. The front office went with Livan Hernandez because he had pitched in some big games. But yeah, I think about it all the time because
Why'd you want Reader?
because he was like he was a soft tossing guy, change ups away, and he could like get guys off their game. And he was like the luckiest guy on our team. We just knew that like if Woody, his nickname is Woody from Toy Story. If Woody pitches, we got a chance. But the front office went with Livan, and that's just what happened. And we lost. And John Lackey pitched against us, and then after game 7, it was like what the hell happened? We just blew like 2 games. So anyways, it would have been fun to be the first team in San Francisco to win a World Series. But I think that got San Francisco started, and then they ended up, in 10, 12, and 14 under Bochy and those guys. So we were a part of that. So, yeah.
It's funny because you bring up a couple things. One of them that I used to always love to ask players was, and I apologize, my dog is going crazy back here, but
It's all right. I got 2 of them sitting right here.
Yeah, so yours are much more well behaved right now. But for me, I always ask players, when you go to the ballpark, do you go and feel like you're going to play a game or to do a job? And so when you would go to the ballpark and when Robb Nen came over from the Marlins in 98 and all of a sudden you're back with a high school teammate, did it feel like you were like back being high school kids?
Um, kind of, but we had matured, right? We'd had some
Of
time in the
course.
big leagues, and we're like 7, 8 years. But like you said, like I always went to the ballpark and um, felt like it was a game. Like we got to win the game tonight. It was never a job to me. It was never. I realized how lucky I was because I saw what my dad did. It was always a game, and we got to do whatever we can to win that night. And then um, I'll tell you one thing about Rob. He took a blown save, or if he didn't come through, as hard as anybody I've ever seen in the game. Like he knew that it's his job. It's like a field goal kicker in football, something where the game's on the line, and they're expecting you to get 3 outs. And if people remember Rob, he had the toe tap,
Mm-hmm.
and so guys could steal off him. So it was very important for him to get the leadoff hitter out because if the leadoff hitter got on, he was fast, the guy might steal. But he took a blown save or a loss as hard as anyone I'd ever seen. And we had this thing where we go back in the training room, and Rob always would ice his elbow in a bucket, and he'd always have 2 Coors Lights in the ice. So we'd go back there and have a couple Coors Lights with him. And if he blew a save, we consoled him and pumped him up. If he got the save, we pumped him up the same way. But that was our little, if Rob came in the game and then he was back in the training room, it was guys like me and Rich Aurelia, David Bell, who was our third baseman in that team. We'd always go back there, and we were old school. We hung out for like an hour and just had a couple beers, and we talked about the game. And that's the thing that I love about the game is like we used to talk to the pitchers about if I was struggling as a hitter, hey, how would you get me out? And they would tell me, oh, I'd throw you down and in, and then I'd go away, and then I'd pound you back in late. And that's really important because I don't think players get that nowadays. And the same for the pitchers. The pitchers would say to us, how would you approach me at the plate? And I'd be like, well, I would take the first pitch because you always throw it down in the dirt or up and away. Now I'm 1-0 and I'm looking for your foul. So that's the communication that I think sometimes in the game is lacking.
Yeah.
And that a lot of players can grow off that if they just get you. And I learned that from Chili Davis, who was a great Giants player I played with on the Angels. Chili always told me, he's like, when you're struggling, go talk to the pitchers and ask them how they would get you out. And he was totally right because now it just opens up more conversation and you talk about the game.
So give me an example of you're struggling, you go to a pitcher, and all of a sudden it clicked. Like that helped snap you out of that funk.
Yeah, he goes, you know what, I'm going to go. Like, so, and the more you play in the big leagues, they get a book on you. They know.
Yeah.
So for me, like, I was like a left-handed hitter. I always had like long arms. I had left center covered. So the book on me was pound me in late because if I pulled the ball, a lot of times I'd pull it foul because I had long arms. So I had to really pull my arms in. And so pitchers would say that, like, I'm going to show you one off the plate down and away. Maybe I get a swing, maybe I don't. And then I'm going to go in hard. And then they were all about in and away and trying to keep you off balance. Maybe show you a pitch up with a fastball, but then for me, and I never worried about, I was a left-handed hitter, the right-hander. I never worried about like curveball, slider, but the changeup is the best pitch in baseball. So it was like, fastballs away, up, in, changeups down and away, doing that. So yeah, pitchers, it's a great way to communicate with players in the dugout, like just talking to hitters and pitchers and how would you get me out and picking their brain. So yeah, I was like a away guy early, and then it bust me in late. And then I started to realize that, and I had the privilege of playing with Barry Bonds for 9 years. And so he started telling me some things about how to like move up on the plate, get up on the plate. And now maybe they think you're looking in and you might get that pitch away. And he by far was the smartest guy, smartest hitter I ever played with. And he just knew how pitchers are working guys and what pitches to look for, and how to attack, especially when the game's on the line and there's guys in scoring position. So yeah, he was a big guy. Like, get on the plate, get up in the box, and then the pitcher and the catcher is the one that watches you when you hit. Because when you get in the box, the catcher's always looking where you're standing. They're looking up at you. So he's like, you got to think with the catcher, not the pitcher, because the catcher is the one going to try and get you out. So it was great advice. And yeah, Barry was amazing. He was the smartest hitter I ever played with.
I was just as you were telling me about, talking with pitchers, until you said Barry, I was wondering, would you ever talk to Barry about pitchers? Would he see things when you're up at the plate? Would he ever pull you aside and be like, hey, JT, like, they're doing this to you, like they see this to you?
Yeah.
He would do that.
He will, if you asked him. He wasn't one to give advice, but if you went up and asked him, he loved it. So I tell the story all the time. We were in Atlanta one time, late in the game. They bring in a relief pitcher, a lefty, and the guy bounces. You get 8 pitches. He bounced 3 curveballs. And so Barry looks at me, and he's up third that inning. We're sitting in the dugout, and he said, that guy just bounced 3 curveballs. He goes, you really think he's going to throw that pitch to me in the heat of the battle with 40,000 people in the stands? He's like, no chance. So he would eliminate the curveball. So he goes up there, guys get on, he's up third. Guy tries to throw him a fastball away, and he hits it out to left center, comes back around. Now we're leading. We go in the dugout, and he's like, I told you. And I'm like, that's amazing. He's like, that guy's not going to throw me a curveball. He just bounced 3 in warmups. He's like, he's not going to throw me that. And so that was the amazing thing about him. He would go up there and sit on pitches, and then he hits a home run, to put us in the lead. And we just would like shake our head and smile. And yeah, he was amazing. He's the smartest hitter I ever played with.
At what point playing with him did you realize his baseball IQ?
I think the first year when I came over in '97, I got traded from the Angels, and he was there. And we had the same agent, so I'd met him sometimes in the off season at different functions. But yeah, we clicked, and I realized he was such a special player, and he was kind of above everybody. So you kind of just let him do his thing and let him go. And the things he said were amazing about hitting. And then you you kind of take that in. But like I said earlier, like if you ask him he's the kind of guy that he's not going to put it on you, but if you ask him and get into him, he'll give it up, and he'll tell you what he's thinking, what his thoughts are. I remember in the 2000 playoffs, we lost to the Mets, and Barry had a really tough postseason career up until 2002, but previous to that, he struggled in the playoffs. I sat with Barry Bonds on the plane from New York back to San Francisco for like 2 hours. We had a couple beers, we're talking, and I'd always had good postseason numbers. I just played in the postseason, enjoyed it. I wasn't the focal point, but he really got into me and gave up some really good information about how he thinks the whole world is watching him, how he struggles, how he puts pressure on himself. He couldn't sleep at night before the game. He's pacing in his hotel room. And I'm like, oh, I sleep like a baby. Like I'm sleeping like, because but that's the great thing about the postseason and all sports is like the superstars feel like the whole world is watching, and they put a lot of extra pressure on themselves. And so I told him, I go, just relax, just have fun with it. Like everyone's amped up in the postseason. We have more adrenaline. And that's why you see, I have a theory, like that's why you see guys in the postseason, especially in baseball, maybe a guy that's not on the radar, like, oh, he wins MVP of the postseason. He just has a good series because he just plays his game. That's the way you play over 162 games. But some of the superstars think that in those postseason games, those series, there's so much on the line. And I get it. There's a lot of pressure on them, but I got him to just relax and just play. And then in 2002, he had an amazing postseason. If we won, he would have been the MVP. He hit that ball in Anaheim that no one ever saw come down. And then he told me, he was like, you were right. Like, I'm just enjoying the moment. I'm enjoying the spotlight. I said, that's it. Like, just don't put that extra pressure on yourself. Just go play the game.
It's so funny that you say that because growing up, diehard Yankee fan, right? And I look at Derek Jeter, and I always felt like Jeter just played the postseason like it was the regular season.
That's it.
And then you got Alex Rodriguez, who it felt like you could see the sawdust coming off the bat because he's gripping it so tight in the playoffs. And then all of a sudden in 2009, he had, he was out of the game. He's back. It's like it can go one of two ways. And it looked like he just relaxed, like, screw it. My legacy's gone. I'm just going to go out there and have fun. It seems like with Barry, that kind of happened in 02 for him. Like he just, maybe it was from the conversations you had, he just went out and treated it like it was a regular season game.
That's it. That's the whole thing about postseason or it, like in any sport. Like and I told him, and I learned this from my dad too. Like it's ramped up. Everybody's watching. Your adrenaline's going to be high. You just have to learn how to control that and bring it down and play. I think the guys that play the game the right way through the whole season, whether it's football, basketball, baseball, when they get to postseason, they don't change and they just play the game. I noticed it the first couple of postseasons I played with the Giants. Like your adrenaline is ramped up, and like you look at the scoreboard in the outfield, there's no other games on the scoreboard, and you're like, oh my God, we're the only game in town. You just have to stick to your process, and play your game. And that's like, I think I live up here in the Bay Area now, and I'm a huge Steph Curry fan, and Steph just plays. And when he gets in the postseason, he just plays, and he doesn't put that stuff on himself. And that's what Barry came around to. Like, and I think maybe I got to him in that conversation on the plane in 2000. I said, just play. You don't, and baseball's so different because you can't carry a team. You get 4 at bats, you're going to hit every half hour. You can play defense, but it's not like we can call a play for you in football or basketball. We can get the ball to you. Mm-hmm. You have to wait, and you're in the dugout and you're stewing and you want to do so good. But when you get up there, it's, you just have a good at bat, get a good pitch, and let it rip. And he finally came around and did that. And it was very cool to see.
Do you think there was anything to the fact that both you and Barry had fathers who were professional athletes, and maybe that allowed him to have a bond with you, to kind of like peel away the onion with him? Because I feel like probably a lot of people were scared to talk to him, maybe the way that you were.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And so Barry loved my dad because but my dad moved to St. Louis with the Rams back in 95 when they moved back to from LA. And so every time we go into St. Louis, my dad was in the clubhouse. He was on the field for batting practice. And my dad loved the game. It didn't matter what game he loved. He loved to watch guys work and take batting practice and watch the ground balls. And so in the clubhouse, my dad was always there until first pitch. And he always would go up to Barry and kind of give Barry like a little shit, like, hey, what are you gonna do tonight? And he would challenge it. And Barry loved that. And he loved my dad because my dad was like an NFL player, and my dad knew the stakes in the game. He goes, do something tonight, thrill me. And Barry's like, I got you, I'll do it. And so and I think guys like that, like at the top 1% of guys, I think they all have respect for guys that played the game before them, whatever sport it was, but they liked to be challenged. They liked maybe talking a little shit to them, maybe like getting them going. And I had the relationship with Barry. I was not as like outgoing and as thoughtful as my dad, but my dad would come in and in a quiet way, go over and just talk to Barry and like do something, like thrill me. And Barry would hit a home run. He would do something. And Barry's like, I love your dad. He like speaks the truth. And I think athletes at the top, they love that. And Barry and I had a great relationship. Barry went to ASU. I went to U of A. So we always had this ASU U of A thing. But yeah, I think in the end, like we had a mutual respect, and I was never the player he was but in the mental aspect, or getting the most out of yourself that you can as a player. I think he respected that in me. And yeah, he loved my dad because my dad would jab him and try and get him going. And so I had so many great talks with my dad driving to the ballpark. I would stay at their house in St. Louis when we played there. I would stay in a team hotel, and we would drive to the ballpark and just have like great talks and who's pitching tonight, what's he got, what's the lineup going to be like. It was super fun, and those are things you miss when you get out of the game.
Yeah, that's what everybody says. It's that camaraderie, it's those experiences, it's being around the guys. Uh, Honestly, like I've never heard someone talk about a relationship with Barry Bonds like you are, and it reminds me one of my good buddies, broadcast partner Karan Butler, had a similar relationship with Kobe Bryant. Like he and Kobe were best friends, but it all was because people were afraid to talk with Kobe. They
Right.
were afraid to go up to him. And he's like, I'm gonna form my own opinion of him. I'm gonna wait to see what happens. So one day on the plane, he just went up to him and said, "Hey, what are you looking for when you're watching film?" And Kobe's like, "Have a seat." And next thing you know, they struck up the friendship and they were doing the workouts together and everything. And Kobe took him under his wing. And it just seems like that is something not like that Barry took you under his wing, but that he respected you and like you had the ability to go and have his ear.
Yeah, and I think like I said earlier, like we're like in the norm as players, like they're at the top 1%. But I think all great players, I think they all want to be normal. They know they can't maybe hang out with us or go to dinner with us. I mean, I was on the road every time I went on the road, and we're in the hotel lobby at 1 o'clock going to lunch with like 10 players, and Barry's in there, and like there's there's people out on the street, and everybody he walked by knew him and wanted his autograph, and they ask a lot of those top players. And so then me and Robb Nen and Mark Gardner and Richard Real, we go out. No one recognizes us. We just walk down the street, go to lunch. We're like, oh, it's kind of nice to be. So there's a lot of stuff on them, but I think we're all in the same game. Like guys are more talented, maybe physically, but the mental side is very strong. And the top players can learn from other guys. The story you just told with Kobe, and I think they like that. And I think sometimes maybe they want to be us, and maybe we want to be them. But it's all in the good aspect of sport and what works for you, what doesn't. Yeah, it's fascinating. It's a really cool thing to get into, and just dive deep into these guys' mindsets. And I mean, they're great for a reason. I had a minor league coach once tell me when I was coming up, I was in Double A, and he's like, "Hey, listen, 10% of the players are just better. They're faster, bigger, stronger. 10% of the players are grinders at the bottom. They make it on guts. There's 80% in the middle. Like, how are you going to be at the top of that 80%?" And he's like, it's mental. It's not making mistakes. Especially in baseball, it's like having the manager trust to put you in the lineup, not make mistakes, hit the ball, feel the ball on defense. So, and that really stuck with me my whole career. Like, when I played, it was Barry, and it was the Ken Griffey's, and it was the McGuires, and it was the Frank Thomases. Those guys are like at the top 10. They're like just better than everybody. And then the 10%, the David Ecksteins when we played
Mm-hmm.
Anaheim, and the guys that just grind. But there's a whole group in the middle, but you got to get to the top of that group. And so it worked. I always thought about that during my whole career. Like, I want to be at the top of that 80%, and then just play the game, don't make mistakes, play it the right way, and you can play a long time.
You mentioned the 2000 division series. You guys played against the Mets, and it didn't go your way, but you have to take me back. Bottom of the ninth inning, facing Armando Benitez. You're down, I think it was 4-1,
Yeah.
and you come in to pinch hit, and
Yeah.
you take him deep. So I need to know, okay, at what point in the dugout are you thinking, I might get a chance to hit? I haven't swung a bat since batting practice. I'm facing a guy who throws 98, 99. What's my approach?
So that's a great question because I went to the park that day. I wasn't in the lineup because Al Leiter was pitching. Um, Cutter, we stacked the lineup with righties. And so fast forward, we come to the ninth inning. I'm with our backup catcher, Doug Mirabelli, in the batting cage. And Ron Wotus, our bench coach, comes down and says, hey, so Jeff Kent was playing first that day. Ramon Martinez was playing second. He goes, hey, if uh, Moni, that was his nickname. If Moni's up fifth and it comes to a spot, you got him. I said, okay. So Doug Mirabelli and I were in the batting cage against the batting machine, like the Iron Mike, which it just throws straight fastballs. And so we got way up way up towards the machine to make it simulate like 100-mile-an-hour fastball. And we were actually playing home run derby in the batting cage in the seventh and eighth inning. And you could tell like in the batting cage, if you hit it in like the corner where the net,
Yeah.
that's the homer. So then I'm watching the inning, it comes up. And so then, okay, then I grab my helmet, go on deck. And then we had a scouting report on Armando Benitez. And he always, when he got ahead, I think it was 2-0, he always threw like a high fastball up and away. And Barry was on second. And so I'm up 2-0, high fastball. And then he always came back around the plate with the next pitch with the fastball. I mean, this is analytics before analytics.
It's scouting.
It's scouting. And it's watching the game. And so then I'm like, I moved up on the plate a little bit and I'm like, he's going to try and come in here 2-1. He came in, I caught it. I cheated. I got the bat head out. I caught it. And I actually I smoked it to right field. The wind was blowing in that day. It was a cold night in September or October, and the ball lands in the first row. We tie the game. And to this day, I run into people and like, that's the loudest I've ever heard the stadium in my life. Like people were like jumping around. The Mets end up scoring a run like the next inning. They beat us. We had to fly to New York. They beat us next day. But yeah, so that was I was in the batting cage with Doug Mirabelli and we are actually playing home run derby. And so when I get the call, Doug says to me, he's like, go up there and hit a homer. I'm like, all right. I never tried to hit a home run in any of that. You're just trying to drive the ball. I was trying to keep it off the ground, man, on first and second. And then, but we had the scouting report on Benitez and I got ahead of him 2-0. Then it went 2-1 and I knew that he's probably going to come back in. And I moved up on the plate a little bit, cheated, and I got the bat head out and hit the home run.
Okay, this is crazy. So you said in the batting cage, you guys were moving up to try to simulate like 100-mile-per-hour fastball.
Yeah.
So when were you moving up closer to him or moving closer to the plate?
In the batting cage, we were moving closer to the
right,
pitcher.
but I mean in the at bat.
I moved up on the plate and up in the box
because I knew both.
Yes, because I knew if it came inside, and that's one of the things. Talking to Barry throughout my career, and I started doing this later in my career. He was always a big advocate of getting right on top of the plate. He had that big elbow guard, and he goes, move up in the box because his theory was like when you bunt, the first thing I tell you when you bunt is move up in the box because it makes the foul lines bigger, so you can bunt the ball. He goes, why don't we do that as hitters? Move up in the box, the foul lines get wider. And I was like, yeah, I'm like, why haven't you shared this with anybody? He's like, well, nothing back. And so I did that from like 2000 on, and then I choked up on the bat. I'm like, if Barry chokes up, everybody should choke up because his whole theory was like putting the barrel on the ball. And if you have less bat, I have a better chance of barreling the ball every time. Instead of having a 34-inch bat, I'll make it 32. So anyways, moved up in the box, up on the plate, and then the balls that you hook foul are now staying fair because his theory was like there's only base hits like down the right field line, right center, left field line. Those four areas. You can get a hit to straightaway right, center, or left, but you got to hit it like on a line. It got to get down. Those other areas are where balls can fall in. So he's like, move up on the box and give yourself a better chance. The ball you're now pulling foul now stays fair down the right field line. The ball that you just hit at the center fielder might be in the right center because of where you're standing in the box. And I was like, magnificent. Like, it's like stuff everyone should know. But But hitters are afraid to move up in the box or get on the plate because they feel like they're going to get beat. But he's like, you get up there, you got to be ready to go. And you got to, and it's amazing because one year we play the Arizona Diamondbacks and Kurt Schilling was pitching and Kurt had my number. We had the same agent. And I went out to dinner with him after the game with our agent. And I got 2 hits him off that game. And he looked at me and he's like, you made an adjustment in the box, didn't you? I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. And he's like, you're on the plate and up in the box. Like, that's the first thing I noticed. Like, wow, you're crowding the plate. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And so he goes, and so then we got into it at dinner, and I was like, that's like one of Barry's like get on the plate. He's like, and Kurt was like, now I have no room to move the ball. If I throw it inside, it's going to hit you.
Right.
Big deal. But now I was like a left center guy, and now you're taking that pitch outside, and now it's out of third, and I can just fillet it out to left center, or if I come in, I could turn on it. So it's pretty amazing, and that's what like the young hitters need to know about like these days, like making adjustments and moving around the box and talking to guys, and other pitchers know. Like Kurt Schilling picked up on it right away. First at bat, he picked up on it.
It's just, to me, I'm always mind blown because the fact that Schilling picked up on that so quickly, called you out on it.
Yeah.
And then the fact that Barry knows this, it's like, I feel like they're idiot savants. Like, you think it sounds so basic for everybody, but it's not.
Yeah.
And then they're able to, and then you have to have the skill level and the trust to be able to do it.
Yeah. I think everybody at that level is pretty skilled. It's just like little things that like, and pitchers know, like the more you play, like I said earlier in the podcast, they get a book on you. They know how I'm going to work you or I'm going to throw you. But then if you come up and you're something different, and all it is it's a foot up in the box, up on the plate, and now you take the plate away, they're like, wow. And those guys were again, Schilling and Barry were top 1% guys. They pick up on it and they know, and they're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm not doing anything. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay, so I have to ask you this question. Did you ever sit off speed?
Yes. If I faced a guy before, and goes back to analytics, if you had a history against him, and maybe the hitting coach would always come up to you before the game and like, you're 4 for 13 off this guy. When you get ahead in the count, you've gotten a double. You get behind the count, you strike out or hit a weak. So yes, absolutely. There's certain times where if I never faced a guy before, I would not sit off speed because I want to see what his fastball is doing, and I want to see the life on his fastball. Does it run? Does it cut? But yeah, and I always tell people it's not like guessing. It's just you go up there with like a hunch, like, but you have to stick to it. If I'm going to sit on a guy's curveball or change at first pitch, if he throws me fastball, I can't swing at it because I'm going to be late and it's going to be strike one. The whole key to hitting is getting ahead in the count. I look back at my career, and when the count was 1-0, 0-0, 1-0, 2-0, 3-1, over 300, and then 0-2, 1-2, 2-2, under 200. I mean, and that's for majority of the hitters. So yeah, you hunt pitches. We call it hunting pitches. Mm-hmm. If a guy throws you like, I'm going to say curveball first pitch, but then it's also the situation in the game. Are the guys in scoring position? What's the score of the game? We always were taught to watch the scoreboard. The scoreboard will dictate how the game is going to be played. And I don't think enough guys nowadays watch that. Yeah, but definitely like sit on a pitch. If he throws it, swing at it. If he doesn't, you got to take it.
Okay, so you were drafted 5th round by the New York Yankees in 1989. You're first baseman, and they've got a guy there by the name of Don Mattingly.
Yeah.
So you're probably thinking, I'm not going to get a whole lot of playing time if Mattingly's there.
Right.
Mattingly, the reason I asked the question was because when he was managing the Marlins, I did a game. It was me and Tom Verducci, and it was like a Tuesday night game, Cincinnati at Miami, and it was for FS1. We go down to talk with him, and I'm asking him about Christian Yelich. And I said, how's his launch angle? Just joking around, being a wise ass.
Yeah.
And we got into 30-minute conversation. He tells us how Lou Piniella taught him how to hit the slider and why he always had good numbers against Randy Johnson. And then he told us that he would sit off speed. And I'm like, wait. You sat off speed? And he goes, yeah. He said, I knew nobody would beat me with a fastball. So there were certain times where I would just sit off speed. He goes, so any home run I hit to right field, that was an off-speed pitch. If it was to like center field, left center, that was a fastball. And I just sat there on the edge of my seat, like my mind was blown. And Verducci afterwards goes, that was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And so
pretty cool, huh?
It was beyond cool. I'm like, I don't care what happens in this game tonight. That was worth the trip right there.
Yeah, that's a mindset of getting into like the head of a hitter. Like and when I came up, I went to big league spring training my first year in '92, and Mattingly was there. The Yankees had an all-star at every position in first base in the minor leagues. They had Mattingly, they had Kevin Moss at AAA. They had another guy. And I remember this article that came out in USA Today, and I had just signed. I called my dad and I go, why did I sign? What the hell did I just do? And he's like, that's okay. But then, I kind of made my way up. They traded guys. But Don Mattingly is one of my favorite people of all time. Like when I went up as a kid, I was 24 years old in big league camp, and I was his caddy, and I was taking ground balls with him. And his approach to the game was so simple that it really helped me out. And he won 11 Gold Gloves, and he was just a great guy, a fielder. He would go in his spring training games, and I would go in like the 7th inning and get one at bat for him. So he would come back to me in the dugout and he's like, hey kid, I'm going to go up and take till I get 2 strikes. And I want to work on my 2-strike approach today. This is in spring training. And he goes, if they walk me, no big deal. He's like, you're going to run for me or whatever. He would go up and take until he got 2 strikes. And then we got him 2 strikes. Then he worked on his 2-strike approach. And I was like, wow, this is pretty like impressive. And I think that day, like the 3 at bats, he got to 2 strikes. If you look at hitters, and he never swung until he got to 2 strikes. And then he was working on like the off speed, like you said, or he'd flip one into left field or he'd turn on it. And he was one of the biggest influences on me to this day. And every time I see him, like I give him a big hug. And he was an amazing player. Like borderline Hall of Fame guy. Like I have weird things about the Hall of Fame, but just an amazing player. And like, that's the way guys did it back then. And that's the way they thought. And they would make adjustments. And he gave me a list one time in spring training when I was there, and he wrote it down on like a pad of paper, and he goes, hey, here's the road trips I don't go on. And I'm like, okay. It was like West Palm Beach, St. Lucie, Kissimmee. And I was like, why don't you go on these? He goes, because the infields are terrible, and I don't want to like field ground balls in a game on those bad infields. And I'm like, okay. So I went, and like Buck Showalter took me on all those road trips, and I played in some of those. But and he's doing a great job now. I think he's in Toronto now. And like,
yeah,
teams need those guys in the dugout to talk to guys. I had a chance to do that this year in Sacramento, working with Bryce Eldridge, who's one of the top Giants guys, but just talking to the guys in the dugout, like calling pitches, and they love it. There's so much into their iPad and their results and their exit velocity and launch angle. And we worked on that back in the day. Like one of the first guys I ever saw about launch angle was Jim Edmonds when I played with the Angels. I played with Jim in the minor leagues, and then he came back on spring training, and then he spread his feet out, and then he just started trying to launch balls. And the most home runs he ever hit in the minor leagues, like 8 home runs in a year. And he goes, I just got to elevate the ball more. He goes, I'm going to try and hit the back underside of the ball. And then he took off, and he hit 30 home runs a year with the Angels and Cardinals. But he was all about launch angle. He's like, and most left-handed hitters, we have maybe a little top spin on the ball. So his theory was like, if I could just catch it at this angle, the ball's going to fly over the fence. And then the guy was like a perennial all-star. I think Jim won like 10 Gold Gloves. Yeah, he was one of the first guys I saw. I'm like, it's amazing. Like that, we were talking about that stuff back in the '90s.
So I see all those gold gloves right behind you. I mentioned at the top of this that you have 6, and you worked with Don Mattingly in spring training. Did you learn anything defensively from taking grounders with him?
The one thing I learned, we were talking one day, taking ground balls about the 3-6-3 double play. And
Yep.
I said, hey, Don, I go, what are you thinking? Either holding the guy on or playing behind him. Like, are you aiming for the shortstops, his hat, his chest? He goes, kid, I played all-star games with Ozzie Smith. And the one thing Ozzie Smith always told me was, I'm the shortstop. I have the best hands on the team. Just give me the ball early. He goes, I don't care where it is. Just give it to me in a radius that I can work with it. But he goes, give it to me early. And so I'm taking ground balls with Donnie, and I'm like, yeah. He goes, you don't have to be perfect. Like, you don't have to hit, like the logo or the hat, or just give it to him early so you can get in. And Ozzie Smith said, I want to catch the ball. When I look up, I want you back at the bag. Or there's sometimes the pitcher's got to cover.
Right.
He goes, I just want someone at the bag. So he said, just give it to me early in an area and let me work with it. Cause he's like, I'm a shortstop. We have the best hands on the team. I'm like, right. So that's the one thing that always stuck with me with Donnie. He's like, when you get the ground ball, just give it to him early. And he always said, there's a difference. He's like, like be quick with it. But if you're in a hurry, like you might hurry the throw, but he's like, there's a difference. Like, be quick, but don't be in a hurry. And so we talked about like just giving it to him early. And that's the one thing that stuck. And so I always took that in my career. I'm like, at 3-6-3, if I'm behind the runner, the ball's hit. And then you have to know the ball's hit hard. You have to know the speed of the runners, or I'm holding area on. It's a chopper. Get it and just get it on. He's like, get it and get it on its way. And just give it to the shortstop in an area where he can work with it early, because the shortstop wants to get out of the way
Right.
when the guy's sliding in. So it was great. He's like, be quick, don't be in a hurry, but just give it to him as quick as you can. So,
Okay, so you get traded from the Yankees to the Angels for the Jim Abbott deal. When you guys played the Yankees, would you and Mattingly ever have conversations?
all the time. In fact,
You really?
I have a picture in my office right here on the wall. It's me and Donnie. I'm like playing behind him at first base. And he was just always so professional and so great. He's like, because I was stuck in the Yankees. I
Right.
thought I was going to be in the Yankees for 3 years in the minor leagues at AAA. And I'm stuck. Like, and then my agent worked a trade. Whitey Herzog was the GM for the Angels. Jim Abbott didn't sign. I came over that deal with Russ Springer, who had a great pitcher, had a great career, another pitcher. But yeah, he's always been awesome to me. And like when we would play him, and I'm on the field or he's on first base, and we would talk, and he's like, just keep going, kid, just keep going. Like, and everybody like at that level, like they want you to like have a career. They want you to play 10 years, whatever, make the most money you can. The money's whatever, get a pension. But he was Don Mattingly is one of the classiest guys I ever met and played with. And I felt like he was rooting for me all the time. And yeah, and then one of the highlights of my career is I went back as an Angel. I faced Jim Abbott, who I've gotten to know him pretty well now. Like, we played some golf tournament. Like, he's an amazing guy also. And I hit a home run off him. I was switch hitting at the time, and I hit a home run off him in Yankee Stadium. And I still have the bat and the ball that I hit a home run because I was traded for him. And then I came back. But yeah, Jim, and I mean, if you've seen the story on ESPN or whatever, amazing story, great baseball story. But he's another class guy. And yeah, we hit it off, and we played in golf tournaments, and you just never know like where your careers and your path is going to end up. You treat people the right way and treat them good. And then, yeah, it's a good life.
So tell me about this then. Your college teammates, Trevor Hoffman, Scott Erickson. Trevor Hoffman, you said, was your shortstop. And now he has the second most saves all time behind only Mariano Rivera. Did you think he was a good pitcher, or did you think he was a better shortstop?
He was a great shortstop. Couldn't really hit when he got the wood bat in his hand because he went to A-ball. And to this day, I tell people Trevor Hoffman there's two guys in baseball I played with that have an arm like that. It's Trevor Hoffman and Sean Dunston. And
Oh,
Trevor
yeah.
had one. I played with Sean with the Giants for a few years. And Trevor in college, his ball as a first baseman, you love it when your infielder just throws you a nice four seam. It doesn't move. And Trevor had that ball. And to this day, I'm like, you and Sean Dunston are the two best I ever played with. And then he got into A-ball and didn't hit very well. They put him on the mound. And the funny thing was he was always begging or egging our coaches in Arizona to put him on the hill to throw. But then when he did, I think he got picked up by the Marlins in the expansion draft in 93. And now he's still in 95. And he learned that changeup. And I always tell people, all due respect to Martin Rivera, but if you look at Trevor's numbers and the number of save opportunities that he had compared to Rivera, Trevor's is like off the charts because he didn't play on a lot of winning teams in San Diego. Then he went to Milwaukee, but yeah, Trevor's the same guy to this day. I see him. We play in golf tournaments together, and we're struggling golfers, but he like great guy, like Hall of Famer. And it was really cool. I watched his Hall of Fame speech a few years ago, and he mentioned all the guys from Arizona that kind of helped him along the way. He mentioned my name and Scott and Kevin Long. And yeah, he was an amazing shortstop. And he was really good with the aluminum bat, but we always told like the wood bat got him. The wood bat got him. I think he had like 205, 210 in the A-ball, and they made him a pitcher. So the wood bat will figure you out.
You could actually make the case that wood bat made him a Hall of Famer.
Exactly. There's no doubt it did. Like, we're like, thank God for the wood bat because he went on the hill. And I tell you what, I faced him a bunch of times, and I would get up to the plate as I did with Scott Erickson. And it's hard to look at your old college roommate in the face and try not to smile and laugh at him. But I would sit on Trevor's changeup and couldn't hit it. Like, it's almost like he knew, you're looking for a changeup, I'm throwing you fastball, I'm looking for fastball, I'm throwing you changeup. His changeup was devastating. And like, people that don't, I mean, it's probably one of the best ever in baseball. Like, if you look at that, his arm speed, and I'm not sure where he learned it from. It might have been one of the Atlanta Braves pitchers, but his changeup made him a Hall of Famer.
You just brought something up that I want to know. You're facing him. You're facing Scott Erickson. How do you not break a smile when you're at the plate and you're looking out and there's one of your best friends from when you guys are 18 to 22 years old?
Right. You don't look them in the face. You look at their logo on their jersey or something.
Really?
Like, well, Scott was always like the glove up, and Trevor had the same thing. So it's like, either like look at their hat, the logo, or you look at their jersey, and then like, but the best thing is if they get you out and you hit first base and you're running back, if you're in the third base, you're running back, across the infield, you always like throw a little barb at them, like, challenge me next time. Like, that's so weak. Like, and they just laugh. But that's the hardest part. That's a fun part of the game, is facing guys you went to college with. And yeah, you can't look them in the eye. You gotta look at their hat, their logo, something. And then I had good results off Scott because I knew Scott's game. Like, he would throw me a fastball. Like, he was a fastball sinker guy. And then I remember like one time I got 2 hits off in a game, and I was with the Angels, and I came back in the dugout. And the guys in there were like, "Is he telling you what pitch is coming?" I'm like, "No." I go, "I know he's throwing me a fastball, like a sinker, and I could hit the ball the other way." And I'm like, base hit the left field. So yeah, it's super fun. That's the fun part of the game when you play with guys. Even I don't think I ever faced Robb Nen as a closer with the Marlins, but when you play with guys, high school or college, and then you face them in a game, it's not easy. It's pretty hilarious.
Did Scott Erickson always paint his cleats
Yes.
and everything black in college too?
Yes. His glove was all black. His cleats were all black. And then he got our coach talked to him and said, "Scott, we're represented by Converse. You can't black out And Scott's like, oh, okay, well, I did it, but he was, you know, his nickname, I think in Minnesota or Baltimore, was Creature of the Night. And he blacked out everything. And then, you know what? We all started doing it. Like that's why I went to like a black first base glove. Cause I had like um, the leather style first base. Cause in college, Wilson always gave us catcher's gear and first baseman's gloves.
Okay.
So I got a free first base glove every year. And I stayed with the same glove my whole career. And Scott's like, you need to black that out. Like, you need to get a black one. I'm like, okay. And so then Scott called it like the black hole. He's like, it's going to go in there. It's never going to come out. It's a black hole. So I did that. And then I told you a story about winning gold gloves. The Rawlings guy would always give it to me. And he's like on the field and like, can we get you to switch to Rawlings? I'm like, no chance. I got Wilson just paid me $25,000 to win the gold glove. And the Rawlings guys were like, they were so upset. I'm like, we got to get you to switch it. But I love the Wilson glove. It's just what I played with in college. But yeah, I blacked it out, and our whole team started blacking out everything because Scott did it. Like cleats, gloves, everything. It was pretty funny.
That's hilarious. Okay, so you black out the gloves, you black out the cleats. I've always wondered, everyone has like a gamer glove. How many gloves would you go through in one season?
So I would have one glove for batting practice, and then I would use the other one for the game. And I used the same glove the last 6 years of my career for the game. Our clubhouse guy, Mike Murphy, who's legendary in San Francisco, he would always, every spring training, I would take it to him, and he would take the stitching out and put new padding and then restitch it. And so it's like a new glove, but it's old because it's already broken in. So, I mean, I still have it back here in my, in this drawer. Yeah, I use the same one, I think the last 6 years of my career, but I would break out a new one like every year. Cause it was the same model, the Wilson 2802 double break at the palm, cause the glove would close like this instead of like this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then he would restring it and put new padding in every year. So yeah, one for batting practice, and then my gamer. And so I learned this from Omar Vizquel when I was playing with the Giants. I saw him pack his gamer in his carry-on the plane. And I was like, you're taking your glove? He's like, I can't lose this. And I'm like, that's pretty amazing. So I started doing that because of Omar. I would pack my gamer in my carry-on because I didn't put it in my bag to get shipped under. He goes, if they lose that, you're kind of screwed. I'm like, I get it. So yeah, the last, I played with Omar in like 04 and 05. So I started packing my gamer. So you go, and then after 9/11, we had to go through normal, at the airport, like normal security. And then your bag goes through, and like they would always stop. And the guy's like, what's this thing in here? I'm like, that's my gamer. That's my glove. And they would pull it out. I'm like, you could throw everything else out there.
You're like, you can't touch that. Okay.
You can't throw that away. So yeah, my gamer would go through the security, the x-ray machine at the airport, and it would always stop. And Omar was the same way. Our bags would always stop, and they take your glove out. I'm like, what? Like, so, and then they would let us go. But yeah, you gotta love your gamer. You gotta love it.
You mentioned Sean Dunston. Who had that arm when you were at first base that would just, when you caught it, if you didn't catch it in the webbing, it was going to sting?
So it's funny because as a first baseman, you learn your infielders, and you learn like Jeff Kent from second would always throw me kind of a wonky ball, like not bad, but it would just have a different, Rich Aureli at short. He always threw a pretty true. David Bell at third base in our 02 year. David managed the Reds, and he threw just a perfect ball every time. Four-seamer, not a lot of velocity, but just he's kind of like Matt Chapman today for the Giants. Mm-hmm. Just make the play and get four-seam, and just the thing would just ride. And you're like, you love those guys. But Dunston could wing it. He played a little bit of short. I played at the end of my career with Ray Durham at second base after Jeff Kent left and went to the Dodgers and Astros. Ray came in, and Ray threw like just a nice, soft, like powder puff ball over there. Seams are spinning, but it was just always on target. But yeah, so it's pretty amazing because that's a great question because you learn that in spring training. Like I want to take throws from all the guys because some guys can cut it and some guys will sink it, and some guys just throw a nice little. One of the best second basemen I ever played with that would tip me off on every pitch because back there we didn't have the thing in your head. Nafi Perez, he played with the Rockies and then he played with the Giants. He was an amazing second baseman and he had so much ground. He'd never missed a pitch to me when I'm playing first base and there's a left-handed hitter back in the day. You had to like give me a heads up on an off-speed pitch, right? A curveball or changeup with the lefty. And then I could take a step this way or back up or move in. He was spot on. And he had such great range. I knew I didn't have to go for many balls to my right. He threw a great ball. He was a great second baseman. Great teammate. Yeah, there's
how would he tip you off? How would he tip you off on what the pitch was going to be?
He would just say it late, like either say my number, like, hey, 6, or they might do like a little whistle or maybe a little sound, like just give you a little, or here we go, something that I would know that was off speed. If he didn't say anything, because as a corner guy, first base, third base, you're watching the catcher where he sets up. We didn't have the little cards back in the day. We knew the scouting report, but we watched what a catcher set up. And if there was a big lefty up and I saw a catcher set up inside, I didn't know what pitch was coming, but I knew it's coming in. And then they would relay that pitch, maybe when the pitcher's in the windup and they would just say, here we go. Hey, 6. And then I might just mentally be thinking this way. And it's amazing because in the ball's hit, you're already thinking that way and you're moving to make the play. And it comes in really big at first base when you're holding a guy on first base and you got a big lefty up because you're only 90 feet away. So you got to tell me off speed because the guy might like hit it down my throat.
Right.
The hardest ball that was ever hit to me was I was with the Angel and Kirk Gibson was, I think, with the Tigers, the Dodgers, maybe his last year or something. He hit a ball so hard. I never even saw it. I just put my glove out and it went in my glove. And then I literally dove for it and I reached over and tagged the bag with my glove. And the guys were like, oh, great play. I never saw it. Like, because he was like a down and in guy. Because you want to know the pitch is down and in because they're going to come your way. So a good second baseman is really, really vital, to a first baseman back in the day, like letting you know where to stand, what pitches you're coming. Yeah, play some great guys.
All right. How about, you mentioned before, Ozzie Smith, Don Mattingly, Ozzie Smith telling Mattingly, getting the ball early. Omar Vizquel, you just mentioned, he's right up there with Ozzie Smith for greatest defensive shortstops of all time. What made him so great?
I think, and I tell this to like players nowadays and kids or whatever. I'm like all great infielders, if they have great hands, they have great feet because your feet set up your hands. And if you're light on your feet, and like I wasn't a fast guy, I didn't run fast, but I wasn't heavy on my feet. And the great shortstops that they're light on their feet, it allows you to relax your hands and make plays. And Omar was always like really light on his feet. And I played for 2 years in his career. His arm, wasn't what it once was, but he was always in position. And like, as you get older, shortstop's a hard position to play defensively on the field. If you go out and stand at shortstop during batting practice, you're like, holy crap, there's a lot of room out here. Like I got to cover. And the Giants have had some great ones. Rich Aurelia and Brandon Crawford. Now they got Adames. These guys, shortstop. But Omar was light on his feet and always in the right position. And I think the later in his career, he always guarded against that ball, in the hole, like that 5.5 hole, but he was always there and could throw it over, gave you a good throw. Didn't have a lot of steam on it, but just really good feet. And I when I work with kids, That's the first thing you notice. If a guy is clunky with his feet and heavy on his feet, he's probably going to have like rough hands. And all the guys that are light, and like I said earlier, you don't have to be fast. You just have to be quick and light on your feet. It's gonna make your hands better.
Yeah. That's a great observation. I've never actually thought about that, but it's a really
Yeah.
good one. I have to ask the question, going back to the '02 World Series, you with the famous, I mean, you're known for your hands, and
Scoop.
here you are coming home, and you pick up Darren Baker and you save him. Just at what point are you running home in this World Series game, and it's Game 5, and here you are, and like you look up and you see a 3-year-old kid or so right there? Like, when did you know, like, oh my God, I got to save this kid?
I kind of knew right away, like just to set the stage. I was on third. David Bell was on second. Kenny Lofton was hitting. It was late in the game. Kenny hits a ball to right center at our home ballpark. So I go back to tag up. I believe there's one out. David Bell's halfway. Ball hits off the wall. And so I'm just jogging to home. I'm going to score. I'm jogging 50%, whatever. And I see Darren. I didn't know who it was at the time. Just jet out of the dugout. And everybody's watching the play. So I'm like, now I'm coming home. I see Darren. I'm like, okay, I got to step on the plate. I grabbed him by the jersey. I kicked the bat out of the way. Benjamin Molina was catching
Yeah.
been with the Giants. Mike Riley, the home plate umpire, and they're like screaming, like, get him out of the way, get him out of the way. Like I grabbed him, kicked the bat, stepped on home, picked him up because he was the same age as my son back at that time. And then David Bell comes sliding in behind me because the ball went off the fence and there was a play at the plate. And nobody saw it. I picked up Darren. I was carrying him. I was like, you okay? He's like, yeah. You know what just happened? He's like, nope. Put him down. He went and grabbed the bat. And then I went back in the dugout and Dusty was like, what just happened? I'm like, Darren ran out. So the backstory to that is in the dugout, Darren's favorite player was Kenny Lofton. We got him that year in '02.
Yep.
But in the dugout, we had a head bat boy named Joey Tolucci, who was a teenager. And he's like, Darren, if he hits it, you can't go out there. There might be a play at the plate. It's a big part. So right when Kenny hits it, I guess Darren just didn't listen and just ran right out of the dugout. And so I found this out afterwards. So he just like didn't even say anything. He just jolted out there to get that. Actually got a really cool. I got a picture like right over here. Like,
oh yeah.
It's like it's pretty cool. And nobody saw it in that picture. Like everybody in the stands is looking out to left center. And then afterwards, like that night, I don't know, on the news or whatever, baseball wrap up, ESPN, they showed it and they're like, oh my gosh. And there's a great picture of me. I'm like grabbing him by the jacket. I'm like lifting him up. I'm like, this looks like child abuse. Like I might get like indicted. Like, but no, it was cool. And afterwards everything calmed down. And then they changed the rules the next year. It's
right.
like, oh, you gotta be
I think
a
it's
teenager
like 14
to be
years
bat
old.
boy.
Yeah.
But yeah, so the backstory is Kenny Lofton, Darren's favorite player is Kenny Lofton. And then Darren goes on to play at Cal Berkeley, and now he's in the Nationals minor league system. And so I see him. I was doing some work with the Pac-12 network, and I interviewed Darren after. I go, do you remember it? He's like, I don't remember anything about it. He doesn't remember anything. He was 3 years old.
Right.
And so, I was a big hit with a lot of the moms and the parents, like, because I saved the kid. So
I mean, you're famous for it, put it that way. Like the fact that you had those pictures is great, and you're definitely famous for it. So now we got to go to the segment that I like to end all my podcasts called This Just In. Okay. And this is going to be some just rapid fire questions. We might, expand on them. The toughest pitcher to handle a pickoff throw from?
I've never had that question before. That's pretty good. I think that the toughest guys are the ones with the best move. I would say the guy that had the best move I ever played with when I was with the Angels was Mark Langston. He was a lefty, and he could hang and his head, and I never knew if he's coming or going. So I had to hang out. I had to like park it on the base. And Mark is such a great athlete. Like he could sling it over, sidearm over the top. Yeah, Mark Langston, he probably had the best move that I ever played with. Because most right-handers are pretty simple, right? They come set, they pick over, but the lefties can hang.
Right.
And they could watch the base runner. So, and Mark could like, he could like jam it in there, or he could just lob it over there. So, yeah, yeah. Mark was the best.
All right. Toughest pitcher for you to face.
Roger Clemens.
Why?
I think I was 4 for 43 off him in my career, and because he had a fastball, a cutter, a sinker, a slider, a curveball, a changeup, split, and his personal catcher was Brad Ausmus, who was a Gold Glove winner, and Brad was my roommate in the minor leagues for 3 years with the Yankees.
Shut up.
Yeah, so Brad and I were really tight. He was like in my wedding, I was in his. And so every time I'd come up and Clemens was pitching, he would just look up at me and shake his head. He's like, "You got no chance." and he would just throw me like first pitch changeup, and then he'd throw me a slider, and then and back in the day, like Roger would throw it under your chin and throw it down and away. So yeah, Clemens by far.
Favorite player to talk to at first base?
Sean Casey from the Cincinnati Reds. The mayor, the governor, whatever they call him.
The mayor, yeah.
He would get on first. And like, I tell people when you're a first baseman, you're kind of like a psychologist over there. It's like everybody gets over there and you don't really talk about much. It's like, "Hey, how's the family? How you doing?" Sean Casey was like next level. He's like, "You look great, man. You look great in uniform. You look great at the plate. Man, I'm trying to like feel it like you." And then like the ball would hit and Sean be off. And like, yeah, Sean Casey, hands down, was like, he was the best guy at first base.
Most awestruck moment playing with Barry Bonds.
Ooh, there's a few of them. I think the ball he hit in the 0-2 World Series in Anaheim, that nobody saw it come down. And there's a great video. You can go to YouTube and look at it. Tim Salmon's in the dugout. Like, that's the farthest ball I've ever seen. And they never saw it come down. It was like halfway up the.
And it was like foggy that night.
Yeah, it was kind of like a marine lair in Anaheim, and nobody saw the ball come down. Like, where'd that land? Like, no one knew. And like, they put it on the board. Like, I think it's 430 feet, whatever. Like, that thing was like 500 feet. And we saw the crowd wherever they stood up. Like, we thought that's where the ball landed. But I think that ball he hit was probably like, yeah, we're like, but it was normal with Barry. Like, we were late in the game. We're like expecting to hit home. We're like, what? Like, win the game. It was like Little League. Like, just hit a home run, send us home. He would do it. So
you mentioned Roger Clemens. In 2002, Barry Bonds' only trip ever to Yankee Stadium.
Yeah.
Do you remember that trip?
Yes.
And
the home run hit in the right field.
Yes. So I was doing stats for Joe Buck that day on the Fox broadcast. I'm sitting right next to Joe, and Bonds hits this home run. And I grew up going to Yankee Stadium. That thing went higher and farther than any ball I've ever seen. Like, it was past the upper deck walkway. I was just like, oh my God.
That's actually a good one. Yeah. If you get that was in the old Yankee Stadium, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, that was and I came up in that stadium. We take batting practice, and it wasn't hard to hit a ball out to right field. It's kind of short right field porch, but he hit in the upper deck, like halfway up there. Like, that's another good one. Yeah. I remember that.
Wow. All right. And then postseason, I think I know what it is, but your favorite postseason memory?
Ooh, that's a good one. It's not the Darren Baker thing. You know what? I think when I look back, like the postseason, I was proud that I always played my best baseball. Like, I was a 270 career hitter, but in the postseason I hit over like 320 and
327.
327. I think it might be the 0-2 World Series. I got a hit in all 7 games of the World Series, and it had only been done like 20 times in the history of baseball. And like, I didn't know that, but you know, one of our PR guys came up and said, "You realize I got a hit?" And I was like, I hit like 407 in the World Series. But you know, that might be it. Like just getting a hit in every World Series game. Um, the first game I hit a game-winning home run off Jared Washburn, a lefty on lefty, and I love the postseason. I think it's great. I love postseason baseball. You see like guys that can really shine and just play and relax, and so yeah, that might be it though. 2 World Series, like getting a hit in all 7 games.
I love it. JT, this was a blast, man.
So good.
I love the stories. I can't believe the fact that you played high school ball with Robb Nen. That was your team, and you still finished third. I'm disappointed about that. Your college team was ridiculous, and of course, your career in the big leagues. Awesome stuff, dude. It's been too long. We got to get out there and play some golf soon.
Let's do it. I'm getting better as I get older because I don't swing so hard anymore. So I'm getting ramped up. We have our club championship this week at my club, the Cal Club up in South City. 55 and over, I can play in that now.
Wow, so, you ringer.
Yeah, no strokes. Last year I made it to the semis, and I lost to a guy that played college golf at USC, and then he lost to a guy that played college golf at UCLA. These college golfers are another level, but yeah, it's a great. I love it. It keeps me excited. Like we have to go out on Thursday and post a score, and they take the top 8 guys, and then 1 plays 8, 2 plays 7 in match play for the whole weekend. So
wait, is Nev going to be there?
Phil Nevin is a member there. He's a national. He usually plays. They play in the championship flight. It's like the younger. They play all the way back.
Oh, that's right.
7,300 yards. And there's some good players. Like I can't compete with those guys anymore, but I'm happy to play in the.
And Steph is there too, right?
Steph Curry's a member there. George Contos is a member there. I sponsored him from the Giants.
It's a great place. That's one of my favorite courses.
Yeah, we'll come out and you have an open invitation anytime. It's a really we've rise pretty high in the world and national rankings, and it's just a good old school golf course. We walk it, we play fast. If you hit a bad shot, it's on you.
Yeah.
If you score good, it's on you. It's the way golf should be. So yeah, I'm a golf junkie, and I might head out this afternoon and hit some balls.
That makes 2 of us, man. Hey,
all right.
Thank you for doing this. This is a blast. Good luck in the club championship, man.
Okay. Thanks, John.
Right.
I appreciate having me on.
Thanks, buddy.
Okay. You got it. Anytime.